Hey everyone, welcome to the Sunday prep rally. This is week 34. This menu is so flavorful. It's so perfect for summer. Memorial Day weekend is right around the corner. It's this weekend and I cannot believe that it's summer already. I swear I don't know where time's going. But this menu screams summer. It screams Memorial Day. We have these amazing chicken burgers in Iceberg lettuce cups, kale Caesar salad, which you're going to love. It's one of my favorites. And we also have the cheesy farro with balsamic mushrooms and cabbage and the beef Larb platter with the corn on the cob. So summery, so colorful. I mean, it's literally a rainbow. And we're gonna bang it out. Week 34, we're gonna get going. I know it may seem like a lot of menu items. It's 9 items. Don't get intimidated, take it one step at a time. Do your pre-prep because it is so worth the time and effort. That's what takes me the most time, is just like setting up my little stations around my kitchen. But once you have everything set up, all your groceries out, all of your supplies, utensils, everything, you have your towel here, you have your garbage, your menu all in front of you, we're gonna bang it out quickly, hopefully under an hour. So let's stop talking, get right into it. Bring your oven to 400 degrees and we're gonna do this. All right, here we go. So the items for the prep rally, we're doing farro today, just plain farro, shiitake bacon, roasted cauliflower, sautéed cabbage, chicken burgers, beef larb, corn on the cob, balsamic mushrooms, kale Caesar salad. If you wanted to take off some of the workload today and not do all of this right now, roast the cauliflower the day of because that takes 5 seconds. So that you could do last minute, the farro even, it just boils. So you can also do that last minute. What else? The chicken burgers, you could just make the filling right now and then actually form and cook the burgers the day of. So you can definitely do that. And then even the corn on the cob, you can make that the day of. So no need to get through all of this today if you're short on time or you're intimidated or don't want to do it all. Make it your own, keep improvising, keep making these modifications so that it works well for you, because at the end of the day, you're not cooking for me, you're not cooking for your neighbors, unless you are. But you wanna make this work for you and make the menus perfect for your family. All right, so let's get into it. We're starting with the farro. I have pot over here. Okay, I'm just putting it on my middle burner, but I'll show you what I'm doing. I have my water in here. Again, all of the measurements, head-to-prepandrally.com. Go to the meal prep downloads tab if you are subscribed. Go and log in with your credentials and you'll have access to this menu and last week's menu. We keep 2 up at a time, so be sure you're downloading every single week. And all the exact measurements are on there, okay? So let's do this. Farro goes into the water. All right, I'm gonna do a little pinch of salt, bring it to boil, and then we're gonna lower and simmer for like 15 to 20 minutes. You want these to be kind of chewy. That's the purpose of farro, and even like wheat berries, you want them to kind of have that like chewy little bite to them. Makes it so good. You don't want them to be mushy. So bring it to boil, lower to simmer, and then 15 to 20 minutes covered, and they should be perfect and yummy, and you could throw them in your storage container. 1 item is done. All we have left is 8 more things, and they're all gonna go fast. My oven is on at 400, yours should be 2. And we're gonna get going with the shiitake bacon. Hopefully you bought your shiitakes already sliced. If not, go ahead and slice them all up. If you can, buy them pre-sliced, even better and faster. I'm obsessed with shiitake mushrooms. They're so flavorful, so good. And you're gonna love this recipe. So this was inspired by that restaurant by Chloe. They have one in Manhattan, one here in California actually, and I drive 45 minutes just to get their kale Caesar salad with shiitake bacon. So this was completely inspired by that, and I needed to recreate it, and you're going to love this. So instead of using soy sauce and maple syrup, because I'm out of maple syrup today, I'm just using coconut aminos because it's healthy and because it's sweet from this like tree sap, coconut tree sap. So I'm using this in place of my soy sauce and my maple. So feel free to do that as well. Otherwise, get your soy sauce and your maple on your mushrooms. Okay, we're gonna season with some salt. Then we're gonna go in with a little bit of olive oil. And we're just gonna roast these in the oven, you guys. It's gonna be super duper easy, okay? A little bit of olive oil, and we're just doing this all on our sheet pan. I've lined the sheet pan with some parchment paper, obviously. All right, liquid smoke. If you've never seen liquid smoke before, it's the most amazing product. Okay, it gives everything this smoky flavor. It's really, really cool, that like hickory smoky flavor. You could add it to anything, but if you're even like, you know, roasting a brisket or something and you want it to smell or like taste like that barbecue smoky flavor, you can use liquid smoke to give you that without actually smoking it yourself. So it's a great thing to keep in your pantry to add mega flavor. And it's perfect here because it gives it that like smoky bacon kind of flavor. If you don't have it, somebody in the group, actually, I think it was Daria in the Facebook group, said that in place she's going to use smoked paprika, which is very smart. So we're using paprika anyways in this recipe. If you don't have liquid smoke, swap the regular paprika out for smoked paprika because that'll give you more of that smoky flavor. So it'll kind of taste like that smoky, barbecue-y, bacon-y kind of flavor, okay? So we have our paprika and garlic powder. That's it, okay? So we've seasoned these up. All you're gonna do is take your little hands and give these a little toss around. Oh my God, that smells so good. That should be smelling amazing right now. Okay. How are we all doing, you guys? I hope we're all having a really good Sunday or whenever you are prepping this. We're still running that free month promo, so if you are just stumbling upon this video on YouTube, be sure to head to prepandrally.com, use code COUNTMEIN. It's the promo code that will give you your first month free to try it out and realize the Prep and Rally difference. Wash your hands. Okay, beautiful. We're gonna get these in the oven, and these are going to roast for about 40 minutes or so. 50 minutes. I say 50 to 55 minutes at 400. Keep an eye on them. As always, every person's oven is different. So throw them in there, set your timer so you can keep an eye on them. All right, set my timer for about 50 minutes. Farro's still coming up to a boil, so keep an eye on that. Next, we're gonna grab our cauliflower right here. Have it already ready on a sheet pan, cut into florets, as you can see. All we're gonna do, simple salt, and olive oil. That's honestly the key, I think, to any good cooking is just like go with basics, roast with olive oil, salt, pepper, really simple things, and then spruce it up later. The actual cooking doesn't have to be so difficult, but like if you just roast these, you're gonna have beautiful, natural, amazing flavors, and then you throw a great sauce on it later on in the week, and it turns something so simple and something that took literally minutes to make and morphs it into something really different and unique. Plus, if you could do two different things with it, kind of like what we do every single week, where one day it's in a salad, the next day it's a side dish, you know, it's really versatile and you're never eating the same thing twice. All about the basics. Okay, so what we should have done is oiled these and tossed them with our hands at the same time. So you only have to wash once. That would have been smarter. So you could do that if you'd like as well to save time. Farro's coming up to a boil. You can't really see it, but there it is. I'm lowering it down to a simmer, putting a cover over it, and let it cook on low for about 15 to 20 minutes. Throw this in the oven. This will cook for about also 25 to 30. Okay, lovely. All right, so those are going. Beautiful. Next, we're gonna work on our sautéed cabbage. We're on our fourth item already. So as you see, even though we're cooking 9 staples and it takes a while to set up all the little sections on our counter, they go really quickly. So don't let the 9 items intimidate you. Okay, next. I have my little cabbage here. I have it cut, I used a little bit last week, so I'm using the same one. But the way I cut cabbage is right down the center in half, okay? And then you could just cut like a little slit, like a little V shape almost. Just a little, cut that little core out. So you see this core right here? So you're just gonna cut into it like a V on either side. Okay, you wanna be careful obviously. And connect those 2 sides and then it pops right out, okay? That's fine if some of it remains, that's totally fine. So I have a large, let me move this out of the way so y'all can see. Okay, pan right over here. A little bit of olive oil going in. And as you can see, we're doing a lot with balsamic vinegar today. I figured if you're already going out and buying it, or if you already have it as a staple in your pantry, let's use it as many ways as possible so you don't have to buy 15 different things. So we always try to do that. And if you ever don't have something specific, try to find a substitution for it. You can reach out via the Facebook group if you're unsure what you can use. But you know, as you saw with that maple syrup that I ran out of, I found a solution and figured out what else I can use. And I'll show you some more swaps as we go. So there's always a solution to be able to swap anything out and make it work for you and for your dietary needs. And there's just always a way, okay? That's the fun challenge here, is finding that way that works for you. All All right, so I'm just taking this cabbage and just run your knife through it. You could buy this pre-shredded for even easier shortcut. Honestly, shortcuts like that are just the smartest because they save you a lot of time. They're not that much more expensive. It's still homemade. It's not that much more. So do what works for you. But if you ever can, make these little substitutions and, you know, get things that are pre-chopped from the grocery store. Even like if we're doing a whole roasted chicken one day, if you wanted to save a little bit of time, you could totally buy a store-bought rotisserie chicken just to save a little bit of time. I'm actually going on KTLA tomorrow. I will post the video after it goes live, all about rotisserie chickens and how to use them in so many different ways. So it's all about picnics, Memorial Day weekend, and how to repurpose rotisserie chicken in 5 different ways for a family picnic. So we're doing like, you know, chicken salads and pitas and, you know, chicken salad in mason jars and a chicken pasta. So whole roasted chickens are super duper versatile. All right, if you have a bigger pan than what I have, that's ideal, but it's fine. It's gonna wilt down slowly, slowly. I'm saving my bigger pan for the beef larb that we're gonna be doing. So we're gonna let this start breaking down. To help aid in that, we're gonna get our balsamic in there because the liquid from the balsamic is going to help steam the cabbage even faster, which will help it break down even more. All right, so let that start doing its thing. You wanna work on pretty high heat here. Instead of using maple syrup again, either I could use a little bit of honey, any kind of sweetener you like. I'm just gonna use a little honey. You could also use brown sugar if you're into that. Totally your call. This is also so good. If you ever wanted to put raisins in there, my grandmother used to make that and it was so good. I used to love that as a kid. All right, so you want to use like a tong here or something to help like toss that around. Let's see, here we go. These are like such a great kitchen tool. Get yourself a pair of those if you don't have. All right, so work on pretty high heat here. That cabbage is gonna start breaking down and it'll take about 10 to 15 minutes. Once there's a little more room, I'll finish off with the rest of this, get it all in there. All right, and a little bit of salt we're gonna add in as well, and then we're all good. Okay, how we doing? Is everyone cool? Thumbs up, thumbs up. You got this, you're amazing, you're here, we're doing it. This menu's so good, you're gonna love it. Farro is cooking. Make sure it's actually doing something and not just sitting there. So when I say simmer, you wanna always make sure there's some sort of action and not just like sitting doing nothing, because that's not really gonna get you very far. Look how beautiful and bright pink it turns. So pretty. All right, so keep mixing that around. Soon there will be more room for the rest of this. Again, if you have a bigger pan, that's ideal. I just didn't have that at the moment. You would think I would have like a million pots and pans because this is what I do professionally. I don't. I have staples. I just bought new sheet pans the other week and some new glass like baking dishes because I just always have a problem that I never have enough. So finally I'm like, you know what? Let's invest in a couple more. I deserve it. I think I need it. All right, so there's a little more room now. So add the rest so it all cooks somewhat evenly. And I like when my cabbage gets like super duper soft and almost like buttery. Cook it as long or as little as you like, but I like to just keep going on low for a while because it just tastes so good that way. All right, so I'm just gonna let that continue to break down quite a bit. Try to introduce the new cabbage to the cooking cabbage, let them all kind of be friends. Oh my God, I'm like dropping cabbage all over my stove. All right, I'm gonna let that sit for a few minutes. Clear off your board, okay? And beautiful. Okay, let's continue. So while that's doing its thing, Shitaki Bacon is in the oven. We have the cauliflower cooking, we have the farro, and we have our cabbage going. I don't mean to skip around at all, but if you have your corn sitting in your water, I want to skip to that just to get that going because that's also very hands-off, and why not get that started? I know I put it later on in the instructions, but let's just do it now, but it doesn't totally matter when you do it. I have my corn on the cob. You could cut it in half if you'd like. Fill it all the way, like cover all the corn with water, and then bring it to boil. And the reason why I'm doing it now is because I feel like it'll take a while to actually boil this water. So I'm just starting it now. Why not? But you could do it later according to the directions if you like as well. There's no right or wrong way. I just want to make sure that we are maximizing time, and look, it's a lot of water to boil, so it may take a while. So I'm just starting it now. Okay? Also, you're not going to have to let the corn cool at all because you're just going to run it under cold water. So it's going to cool really quickly once it's cooked, but may as well get that started because I don't have to actually do anything to it. It just cooks on its own. Okay, so continue to move your cabbage around. Let it continue cooking. Do its thing. Oh my God, that smells so good. You should be smelling that like sweet and soury, kind of acidic, yummy flavor. My mouth is watering. It smells so good. Okay, next we're going to work on our chicken burgers. So, here we go. Check it out. I have just taking this all out now. I didn't want it sitting out very long. So, ground chicken right here. And I'm just going to make the mixture and then take this whole bowl and just store it covered in the fridge, and I'm going to form them fresh that night. If you wanted to form them today, if you wanted to bake them today, grill them today, go right ahead. Totally your call how much or how little you want to tackle today. Everyone's schedules are different, so just do what works for you. I'm just going to form them and then leave them in the bowl for later in the week. Okay, continue to move these around. This color is so pretty. It turns from like a purple to like a magenta-y kind of color. It's gorgeous. Okay. Lovely. Let that keep doing its thing. Okay, so we have our ground chicken or ground turkey here, depending on which you wanted to use. We're going to take a half of a red onion and dice it finely. And I have some basil here, oregano, like all really good, fresh, yummy things. So let's get started with our onion. So you're just going to cut off the bottom, cut off the top, and we're going to be using this other half of the onion a little bit later for the beef larb, I think. Okay, so here we go. Throw out that peel. Let me just double check. Whenever we can do two things at once. So yeah, half the red onion we're going to thinly slice for the beef larb, and the other half we're going to finely dice. You could finely dice all of it. I don't know why I sliced it for the beef larb. But whichever you choose to do, there's no right or wrong. So first, let's do a very small dice. And in order to get a very small dice, your grid just goes smaller. So you know how I go in this way? So you're just going to go in, and instead of just doing two little cuts in there, you're going to add more and closer to each other. So you have, I think I did like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I have 5 little lines there, as you can see. Kind of hard to see. See that? But still fully intact at the end. I didn't cut all the way through, just right till there. And then you go in this direction. Same thing. Cut them pretty close to each other. So you have a little grid, little squares, and then still intact completely. It looks like a little grid going this way and that way. And now we just go like this. Look at that. You have a fine dice. And you don't want these to be big. You don't want it to be a large dice because then it's hard to keep them sort of contained in the burger. You want it to go in there nicely. And if they're like big pieces, it's kind of hard to like fully incorporate them. I feel like the little pieces just keep falling out of the burgers. So cut them really fine. Even if that means running your knife through it again, you could totally do that. But you want like a really nice fine onion. Can you see that? Okay, so a little piece of onion. Don't use this little end if you're not able to get that small, no need. Okay, so throw your onion in there. Already good flavors going on. Okay, cabbage is smelling awesome. My sister Lonnie is actually in town right now and she loves this cabbage. She makes it all the time at home. So she is going to love this. Okay, and while we're here, let's just thinly slice our onion for the beef larb. So as you can see, I'm using my hand here as a guide. So this is what's telling my knife how far or how close to to go. So right now, you see my hand's not moving, so the knife isn't gonna go anywhere. I'm slowly moving my hand and the knife is resting against my knuckle. So the knife is only going where my hand tells it to go. It takes a while to get used to that, but once you do, you become a rock star in the kitchen. And you can cut really quickly and precisely, and everyone will be like, wow, what amazing knife skills you have, because look at that. Look, perfectly thinly sliced red onion. So we're gonna set that aside, and that's gonna be used for the beef larb. So we just did two things at once. So set that aside, let that hang out for the next recipe. Okay, meanwhile, so we need 5 cloves of garlic for the beef larb and 3 cloves of garlic for the chicken burgers. So real quick, give this a little toss around. My water's still trying to come to a boil for the corn, if you've started on that yet. Okay, give us a mix around. Look, it's all completely broken down. So now we're just waiting for it to get super, super soft, which is the way I like it. You could pull it off at any point if you're happy with the way it is now. You're also going to be reheating it throughout the week, so no need to go overboard in the cooking, but I just like when it's really, really soft. Like, makes me really happy that way. So do you. I'm going to go another like 4 or 5 minutes. Meanwhile, Farro, let's see. The only way to truly know if it's ready, you do take a little bit. You don't want to overcook it. Perfectly chewy. Turning it off now. I'm just going to strain it. So hold up on this. This is the multitasking part. Okay? Bring it over to your sink and just strain off all that water, or you can also put it in a colander of sorts if you wanted to. I'm just going to strain off this water like this. So strain it off so you don't overcook it. Yum. All right, beautiful. Looks so good. Beautiful. Okay. And now we're just going to grab a bowl. I have a little glass bowl here. I'm just going to take my Farro and put it right on in there. Okay? Check it out. Yum. Set it off to the side. Let it start cooling. Beautiful. That's done. Cabbage. Keep going. It's all about having your head in a bunch of different places, and that is how we get all this stuff done. Don't forget about anything. I have my timer on in the oven, but the cauliflower is going to be done a little bit before the shiitakes, so just keep an eye on those. Let this go for a few more minutes. My goodness, yum. Okay, cool. So we are going to finally mince about 9 cloves of garlic for the beef larb and for these chicken burgers. So it's really good to do them all at the same time. That way we save a lot of time instead of having to do this process like twice. So I'm just peeling off the paper. You could use the it's nice and tight, which is a good sign that means it's nice and fresh. You could use a pre-peeled. It's just never as fresh as fresh. I think it makes a big difference. I just also happen to love garlic. I'm kind of a garlic snob. I have 6. All right, 7, 8. Let's just do all these. All right, beautiful. So you guys know how to do the garlic. Put one here, watch your fingers, boom, boom, go through. You don't want to whack it too hard that the whole thing just kind of either flies all over the place or just completely turns to mush. Then it just makes it even harder to peel the papers off. So then just get peeling. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It smells so good. So good. Okay. And there we go. All right, get rid of these peels right away so that you don't have a little mistake and keep those peels in your food because not so delicious at all. All right, and we're just gonna start running our knife through it. If you have one of those garlic presses, I actually have one and I love it. I think it does a really good job mincing garlic. I use it specifically in salad dressings. If I'm not using an immersion blender or something, I'll use it in dressings because it really gets it nice and fine and creamy. so you don't have like a big thick piece of garlic that you have to bite down on. Because we're cooking all these, I'm fine with doing it by hand, and also it's one less thing for me to have to wash. So again, do what works for you. You could even use the pre-minced garlics. Again, I think this is so much more flavorful, but it's totally your call. Okay, so a little more, just go back and forth. Really good to have a good chef's knife. You just go back and forth, kind of this like rocking motion, put it all together again, push it together. Beautiful. Okay, so most of it's gonna go for the larb, that beef larb that we're working on next. A little more. And some of it is going in our chicken. Okay, so lovely. Before I wash my hands, I'm gonna do my basil. So I'm gonna get my basil here. I have it pre-washed already. So all I'm gonna do is just cut it off the stem, and we're also just gonna run our knife through it. You just gather it all together. So this is where knife skills comes into play, because if your knife skills are taking you a really long time to get through all this chopping and dicing, it's just gonna take you longer to get through these meal preps. But as you work on your knife skills, first of all, it's a lesson for the rest of your life. Whenever you're ever cooking in life, it'll just be more enjoyable, it'll be more fun, you'll be faster, more efficient, you'll just enjoy it more, because once you know the right kind of knife to use and how to use it, it's just fun. I love cutting, it's weird. Could also use the packaged frozen little basil cubes. You could use that. That should be fine here, because it's not like a pesto or anything. It's just going in a burger. That should be totally fine. So just know you could use that substitution. All right, I'm gonna rinse my hands now. Beautiful. I'm starting to smell that bacon, that shiitake bacon in the oven. I smell that smokiness. I'm going to shut off my cabbage. Oh my God, it's so bright and purple. Do you guys see this? Giving it a little toss around. Could give it a taste at this point. Make sure it's super yummy. Oh my God, it smells so good. Okay, I'm gonna leave it in the pan to just continue wilting a little bit more. But if you want to move it to a storage container at this point, go right ahead. Okay, I'm gonna set up my large pan for the beef larb, which we're gonna do in a minute. Let's finish the chicken burgers first. So I have this beautiful bowl of ground chicken, the diced red onion, garlic, basil, so like all such good flavors here. We have our salt, okay, cumin, paprika, and oregano we're adding in here, okay? Feel free to use more of that smoked paprika if you would like. Wish I had more cumin, but it's cool. Oregano, so just really, really good flavors. You could even use fresh oregano, any fresh herbs you like. I'm just using dried because I have it, it's easy. And paprika. If you want to even add some like onion powder, garlic powder, feel free to throw whatever you like. Okay, use these as like base recipes and then improvise, do whatever you like with it. Okay, that's the whole thing. So easy. I'm going to mix this around later, but for now I'm just going to leave this. Before I store it in the fridge, I'm going to mix it around, get it all incorporated, cover it tightly, store it in the fridge, and then we're going to use it for dinner on, is it Monday we're using it? Could be, not sure. But no need to form them now, no need to bake them now. I'd almost recommend waiting to bake them at least. You could form them now, but I almost recommend baking them fresh the night of so that you're not reheating and drying them out that night, okay? Next, we're on our sixth item. 6, 7, 8, 9, 4 more things, and then we're done, okay? I'm gonna check my cauliflower in 3 minutes. Okay, beef larb. I have my pan here. Olive oil. Okay, and what am I getting? Hold on. Okay, I have the ground beef here, and we have our onions, okay? Brown the meat, and then we're gonna add our onions. So we have our oil in the pan. I'm going to grab like a wooden spoon or something that I could use to sort of like break up that meat. So get your ground beef in there. All right. So just start breaking that up a little bit. Good news is that we already have our onions and our garlic ready to go because we've batch worked there. We've kind of double purposed, double dutied. those items. So that just makes our life a lot easier. Let's start breaking up that meat. Just like you're making like tacos or something. Just want to get it nice and brown. Okay, so just break it up. Let it start cooking. You want to work on pretty high heat here. All right, then we're going to add in, we're going to pour off any excess fat if you want after we do this. Then we're going to get our onions in there, and then we're going to add the garlic, and then the rest, and we're just going to simmer it, and it's going to be so delicious. And you could serve these either in lettuce cups, you could put it in a pita, you could really do it any which way you like, but in like butter lettuce cups, it's like the most amazing thing. Obsessed. You guys are going to love these. And I like serving them with even more fresh lime. It's so good. Okay. So here we go. So I have my balsamic standing by because that's going to go in there. Soy sauce and maple again. So instead of the soy sauce and maple, I'm going to use my coconut aminos, but feel free to use soy sauce and maple. Ginger, which I keep in my freezer. Usually I will use it right when it comes out of the freezer, so it's easier to work with. I've let it sit out for a little bit, so it's going to be kind of mushy. But still, like, freeze the rest of your ginger if you don't use it all up, because you could use it the next time. Never throw it out. And then balsamic, and then juice of one little lime. So just such good flavors. You have it like sweet, tangy. I told you, like bold, amazing flavors this week. But still like super fresh. The only thing that's like on the heavier side is that farro dish for Thursday, that cheesy farro with mushrooms and onions. But I promise you, don't skimp on that recipe because it was like weirdly, it tasted like pizza almost. It was so flavorful. I couldn't explain it. I didn't understand why it was so good. It was like something that I ate and I was like, why is this so flavorful? It was like kind of shocking. So definitely make that. It's so good. Even if you don't think your kids will like it, at least make it for yourself. It takes 5 seconds. The farro's already cooked. It's really just like mixing in a few other ingredients. Mushrooms and onions, which you'll already have cooked. So, all right, corn is starting to boil now, which is good. All right, so let that do its thing. Make sure everyone's submerged in the water. So you know what? I'm just gonna shut it off now. Now that it's boiling, I'm shutting it off and I'm just gonna let the corn sit in that hot water for like 10 minutes so that I don't have to think about it. Okay, so it'll continue cooking it for like 10 minutes and then I'll pull it off the heat. Okay, almost there. So if you still see red, that means it's not fully cooked yet. So continue distributing the meat throughout the surface area of the pan so it starts to cook. Continue breaking that up. Okay. For the most part, you want it to be like almost fully cooked. Okay. All right, onions, garlic we have standing by. Let's start mincing our ginger while that's going. So cutting that off. Cutting that off. Again, this was frozen, but I was able to repurpose it. So just take off your skin. A great way to do this is with the back of a spoon or something. I'm just using a knife because I'm lazy, but it's a good way to do it without wasting very much. All right, so first I'm just starting off by slicing it. You could even take this to like a microplane and run it on the microplane for like an even more perfect mince. But again, it's just another thing to wash. So I am just running my knife through. So again, same thing as the garlic, just back and forth, back and forth. Again, knife skills, guys. The faster and faster we get at knife skills, the better and better the kitchen experience is. And the faster we are, the more efficient, the more perfect your food looks, because especially when you're making like a beautiful salad or really anything, if your like cuts look perfect and precise, makes a difference. All right, that's good to go. Our meat is almost fully browned. So as you can see now, you'll see some of the oils, kind of the drippings. So if you want to spill some of that off at this point, just push it off to the side like that and spill it off. I'm gonna do that and I'm gonna get the rest of my ingredients in here, okay? Because why have that excess fat if we don't need it? That's how I feel. Okay. Perfect. It's good to keep some of it. You don't want it to be completely dry. So just about browned. I'm gonna push my meat off to the side. I don't need any excess oil, any extra oil here. There's more than enough in it. Throw your onions in there. I'm just gonna throw my garlic in here anyways now. And you know what? Why not just throw the ginger in? You could do it in shifts, but I'm just gonna throw it all in. All right, let that all kind of saute for a little now. And then we'll get the rest of our ingredients, like the wet ingredients, like your maple, your soy sauce, your balsamic, and the lime, and some salt. So the salt we could even do now, season it up. And depending on if you're using low sodium soy sauce, this is the hardest tongue twister, or regular, is gonna kind of dictate how much or how little salt you need, but always go lighter on the salt. You can always add more at the end if you feel you need it, okay? So start moving those onions around. So basically what I did is I pushed my meat to the side a little bit, just so I can give the onions their own individual attention for a little bit directly on the heat, as you can see. Okay, let them start cooking. Oop. I'm just losing everything on the stove. Okay, again, still working on high heat here. Okay, let's get everything else ready to go. So instead of the soy sauce and maple, I'm going to be using this. We have our ginger already in there. We have our salt already in there. You can do some pepper if you'd like. Balsamic, and then juice of a lime. I'm just going to cut this so it's ready to go. And for my limes, you don't need this. Where did I put it? Oh, here it is. You don't need this little tool, but I find myself using it all the time because limes don't give you that much juice unless you use this thing. This truly helps release so much more juice than if you were just to squeeze it. So I always think about this, like any recipe where I say juice of 1 lime, I'm using like the full amount because I'm using this. You may not be, your lime may not be as juicy. So it really is always better for me to write a tablespoon or a teaspoon of lime, whatever it is, to be more precise. So kind of should start doing that. Okay, so at this point, you see, I'm mixing it all together now, distributing all those flavors. Oh my God, yum! Ginger, garlic. Okay, your kitchen should smell like heaven right now. My ovens, I have 20 minutes left. So I'm gonna go check on my cauliflower right after this. My corn is still sitting in the hot water. I'm gonna remove that right when I'm done with this dish. Cabbage also, I could remove it to a storage container now. That's done cooking. We have our farro that's done. And we have the shiitake bacon, which I'll go take a little look at, make sure it's doing well. Okay, so now this is going. Get your soy sauce and maple in there, or if you're using coconut aminos like I am, throw that in. Your balsamic. You're almost done, you guys, I promise. Your balsamic and the lime juice. Okay, so look at this. Look how much juice is gonna come out of here. Oh my God, yum, it smells so good, I'm so excited. Okay, it really, truly takes out every little morsel of juice. Rather than if you were just to squeeze it, you get like a little, but hardly the amount that I get when I use this little tool. And it's like a cheap tool. Go on Amazon and I don't even know what it's called. Like a citrus, I wouldn't even know how to search for it. A citrus getter outer. I have no idea. Just look up citrus tool. Okay, like I originally bought that tool for like my food photography, but I use it all the time. All right, so now you're just gonna keep moving this around. Because you have a nice big pan, a lot of that liquid's gonna start evaporating. Slowly it's gonna flavor all that meat. It's gonna keep that meat nice and juicy. Keep it from drying out. Oh my God, yum. That was really good. My favorite kind of meal, like lettuce cups and spring rolls, dumplings. Those are like some of my favorite things ever. Just flavors, those like fresh, vibrant flavors, super flavorful. Okay, when you store this with that liquid because you're going to be reheating it as well. You want that liquid in there to keep that moisture, keep it nice and moist and from drying out. Okay, give it a little taste. One more salt. Because I didn't use maple, I'm gonna use some honey. And honey is what's really the classic sweetener for a beef larb. So feel free to add some honey in there as well. But if you're using maple, you should be good. Okay. So good. I'm going to shut this off so we don't dry out our meat. Everything is incorporated. Store it with at least most of the liquid. You don't have to do all the liquid, but most of it to continue flavoring it up. Okay. Perfection. I'm just going to get this into my storage container right away. Look at that. Oh my God, this looks so good. Woo. Look at that. Heaven. Done. Get all those yummy little bits at the bottom. Beautiful. That is done, son. All right, perfect. Put that off to the side. Let that start cooling. Okay. And let me get this in the sink. Check on your cauliflower and your shiitakes. Looking so good. Okay, you want the shiitakes to be kind of crisp, so they're not there yet. 15 more minutes for me. And even the cauliflower, I'm gonna let go another 15 minutes as well. So I have my timer on, 15 more minutes. Let that keep doing a thing because I want everything to be crisp and yummy. So 15 more minutes there. Meanwhile, we have 3 more things to do. The corn on the cob, which we've already done actually. So let's put that in a storage container, and let's also put our cabbage in a container. Okay. So, cabbage, just look how beautiful and bright that is. I mean, that's like the prettiest cabbage ever. I want all that liquid as well because that's like super flavorful balsamic and the sweet tangy. Oh my God, pretty. This is like the most colorful meal prep evs. Oh my God, yum. Okay. Beautiful. Okay. Next up, what is next? Let's put the corn in a storage container. This is done. Move that off to the side. I'm going to get a large bowl. How are we all doing? Where are we on time? We're at 42 minutes. I think we're going to do it under an hour, as usual. Okay. So, corn on the cob, bright and yellow, beautiful. It's been sitting in that hot water. You don't need to cook corn for that long. Corn is even really good when it's fresh and not cooked at all. When I was living in the Hamptons cooking for a client 2 summers ago, I would literally go to the farmer's market, buy the fattest, juiciest corn ever, and just eat it straight up. It was that good. So summer is upon us and amazing corn season is here. Love it. Okay, these are done. Let it start cooling. Beautiful. You could even get rid of this pot. Okay. Cool. Whoa. Okay. How are we all doing? 2 more things. Balsamic mushrooms, and then we have that amazing Caesar dressing. Okay? I'm going to bang the rest of this out so it goes so fast. So, here we go. Another little pan. You could repurpose the pan that you've already used if you want, like that one that I could have reused the one that I used for the cabbage, but I didn't. But just know you totally could. Okay, we're going to use some red onion. I say to use 1/4 of it. We don't exactly have a purpose, like a use for the rest of that onion. You could just do the whole onion. I think that's probably what I'm going to do. Use as much or as little as you want, but honestly, why not just use the whole thing? I don't know why I said 1/4. Or you could even just use half if you want, and then store the other half in either in the fridge if you like, or use it at some point during the day. I don't know. It's totally your call. I'm just going to do the whole thing. Figure, why not? I love onion. Okay. So we have our pan getting nice and hot. You know the drill, a little oil. This is the last thing we're cooking, and then it's time for that dressing. Okay, get these onions in there, a nice hot pot or a pan. Doesn't really matter for this. I just want something big enough to hold all those mushrooms. Okay, perfect. Get these all in here. See, knife skills. If that took you a good 5-10 minutes to cut that, your time in the kitchen is going to just be longer. So the more and more you practice, just buy a bunch of produce and just start making salads and fruit salads and just practice. And during these meal preps even, just start somewhere, just practice. So I'm going to just throw it all in at the same time, let it start to break down. And we're going to add some salt and that balsamic that we already have and bought for this meal prep. Why not continue using similar flavors? We already got it. And that liquid's going to help even more so. Just steam all we got going on here. Normally I would saute the onions first to get them nice and crispy and golden, but honestly it doesn't matter. I just want this to all cook, break down, get super soft and silky and yummy and delicious and flavorful. Okay, last thing. The stuff in the oven has another 11 minutes, so we're gonna let that keep going. We're at 45 minutes. That means we have 15 more minutes left until we've reached our hour mark, and that's insane that we just did 9 items in that amount of time. Okay, but that's how we do things here. As long as you've done your pre-prep, which is just setting up your little sections throughout the kitchen of everything you need, it just makes the whole process so much more enjoyable. So let's make this quick Caesar dressing, and I'll show you some modifications that I'm going to be incorporating. So I have my cashews here. I'm not using a food processor. I'm going to use an immersion blender. Okay, immersion blenders are perfect for this, but I didn't want the cashews to be too hard on the immersion blender. So what I did is this whole meal prep, I actually put my 1/4 cup of water together with the cashews just to slowly soften them. If you wanted to sprout them in water overnight, it's what's really healthy for you. No need to. And if you're using a food processor, you're fine. Even if you're using an immersion blender, you should be fine to just throw all the ingredients right in. You'll be okay. I just wanted to make it a little bit easier on my food processor by softening the nuts a little bit. So that 1/4 cup of water I've just thrown into here, just to let it start doing its thing. Okay, so I have my cashews in here. I have the water. I have my 1 clove garlic, and because we're going to be blending it, just throw it right in. All right, lemon juice. Okay, give it a little roll. And squeeze your lemon juice in here. This is the last thing, you guys. So excited. Okay. You could even use that little citrus thing for this as well. Just gotta be careful because of the pits. This one actually has no pits. That's weird. Does it ever freak you out when a lemon just doesn't have any pits? How's that possible? Okay. But it really does help get all that juice out. Okay, so I always say like 1 lemon roughly, if you're getting most of the juice out, 1 lemon will roughly have about 3 tablespoons or so. So you may want to use like 1.5. You could always add a little extra if you need. Every lemon's different. But I gave you the exact measurement if you did want to measure it. Okay, so we have our lemon juice in there, season it with some salt. Instead of the anchovy fillets I have right now, I don't want to open up a whole thing of them just for 2. I have Worcestershire sauce, and I also have fish sauce, actually. Very similar products. So I'm just going to put some of that in there. Okay, that adds a little bit of extra liquid, so you may need to add some extra nuts to that, thicken it up a little bit more. Mustard. And the Parmesan, which I'm going to use. I have Parmesan, but I'm going to use some nutritional yeast, an amazing ingredient. It's my favorite. I have 3 of them in my pantry at all times because it gives that like cheesy Parmesan-y flavor, but it's completely vegan and it's high in B vitamins, super healthy for you. And I literally use it as this like yummy seasoning to go over popcorn, any roasted vegetables. It's like addicting. I'm obsessed. Okay. Be sure you're moving your mushrooms around. Let them really get nice and soft. High heat as usual. Okay. Those will be done in like 5 minutes. Okay. Start blending this. Make sure your immersion blender is all the way underneath the water. You could also, again, use a food processor as well. Okay. And if it's ever too thick, like because I used a Worcestershire sauce and maybe on the looser side, I can always add, first of all, the Parmesan versus the nutritional yeast. That will thicken it up. So I'm gonna add, I may even add the Parmesan at the end, but if you want it thicker, like the way it was originally supposed to be before I added in the Worcestershire sauce, either add more nuts and blend them up, or add the Parmesan. It'll thicken it right up. Okay, but let it go for a while. You don't want it to taste like little grainy bits of nuts in there. Oh my God, yum. Okay. That looks so good. Oh my God, so good. Yum. That is so good. So, so good. I'm obsessed with that. Okay, guys. I think we just did it. That's the whole thing. Boom. My poor computer gets food all over it. That's done. Close this up again to thicken it. If you want to thicken it even more, blend some more nuts in there if you've used the Worcestershire sauce. Otherwise, if you use the whole anchovies, it should be thick enough. Plus, if you use the Parmesan, it should be perfect. So just modify and improvise as you need, but like that is gold right there. Okay, give this one more mix around. I'm gonna grab a storage container for this. And let's see, what do I got? Oh, here they are. Okay, check it. Check it out now. Boop. So these mushrooms are going to get stored for your farro dish on Thursday. Oh my God, it smells so good. Yum. Mushrooms and onions together is like a match made in heaven. Okay, check it out. And because we use the purple onions, it's super pretty. All right, so mushrooms and onions. We have this beautiful cabbage. We have the beef larb. We have the farro. We have the corn. The chicken for the chicken burgers. We have the cauliflower, which I'm taking out of the oven in 1 minute. This amazing dressing and the shiitake bacon. Guys, that was it, week 34. I hope you loved it. I know it was kind of a lot, but you're going to have the most delicious week ever, I promise. And as I mentioned at the beginning, all the different things that you could do to sort of like space everything out throughout the week if you don't want to tackle this all right now. But 52 minutes for 9 items with a little bit of pre-prep, setting up our kitchen. I think it's pretty freaking amazing. All right, have an amazing week. I can't wait to see you guys on Instagram. See all your food. Keep posting. I'll repost and cheer you on every step of the way. So much love, guys.